Alrighty, so Niantic finally responded to the community backlash regarding the Pokéstop and gym interaction distance. I have a lot of thoughts regarding this response. I do feel like there's a lot of mixed messaging and a lot of things that we still need to be concerned about because, yeah, I just feel like this response was a little bit empty. I do appreciate the fact that they actually gave us a response and they are trying, like there is a plan for action and different things like that, but when you dive really deep into this response, there just seems like there is no change over at Niantic, and that's really concerning. But in any case, I'm going to be talking about it in this video. Let's roll the intro and jump right into it. And how's it going, everyone? It's me, it's Count here with a brand new Pokemon Go discussion video. Today we're going to be talking about Niantic's response to the big backlash that the community has been giving them regarding the Pokéstop nerf that they recently did. So in case you're living under a rock, they recently rolled back a lot of the pandemic bonuses, and one in particular got a lot of players riled up. That is, of course, the Pokéstop interaction distance that they gave us throughout the worldwide pandemic. They actually rolled that back in the United States and New Zealand, and the impact was severely felt by the community. A lot of players were really upset about this, so they voiced their concerns all throughout social media throughout the last couple of days. And yesterday, me, along with a whole bunch of content creators, actually coordinated a Twitter campaign where we pushed out the hashtag #HearUsNiantic, and then Zoe Two Dots wrote up a phenomenal open letter that we could send to Niantic. And yes, this is what caused the response from Niantic regarding this issue. And overall, I was very surprised. I was actually very pleased that Niantic responded so quickly, and the fact that they actually responded in the first place, considering that for the last couple of days, even though they were receiving so much backlash, they were just completely radio silent on this issue, and that really upset the player base. But if you take a deep dive into this response, there's a lot of things to be concerned about. First and foremost, they seem to want to hold on to this mission, this quote-unquote mission that they keep bringing up, where they want to get players out exploring and walking and being healthy or in different things like that. I just feel like these are just empty platitudes at this point. Like, yes, we should go out more and we should be healthier, especially after the pandemic is starting to roll down. Of course, there is the Delta variant that is ravaging a lot of different states in the United States, but regardless of that, yes, I do agree that going out and exploring is a positive thing. But for them to use that to just justify some bad decision making, like, I still do not like the fact that they're doing that. The fact that they opened up this response with that just already sets this response on a bad foot. So yeah, there is that. And then of course there is the plan for action. The fact that they acknowledged our concerns and they plan to do something about it. This plan for action also feels a little hollow and it feels a little empty. I know a lot of other content creators have already voiced this, but for me personally, I was expecting a little bit more. I was expecting something a lot more concrete, but that's not what we ended up getting. So what Niantic claimed that they're going to do is that they're going to create a cross-functional team, which is like, what? Like, they already had someone that does that, and that was Liz. Like, I don't know if they're going to replace Liz with a team now. Like, what they really should do is try to get someone like Liz to actually be a liaison between the community and Niantic. But instead of doing that, they're going to have this team that's going to try to come up with proposals that will, I guess, essentially try to meet us in the middle. Now, on the surface, this seems like a positive thing, but if you really think about it, it's really for them to try to find a way to justify their bad decisions. And if you don't believe me, it is literally in the response right there, where they say that they are still going to try to follow this mission of inspiring people to explore the world together. Like, this is the one thing that was the problem to begin with, but it seems like they're just not getting that across their heads. Like, I'm really concerned about Niantic's attitude towards their community. Like, there was a lot of things covered in that letter, that open letter that we sent out to Niantic, that talked about this stuff, that we gave great reasons why this whole core philosophy is extremely flawed. But instead, they decide to open up with that core philosophy, and then they add it as part of their solution. I really do not like that. And then the sour cherry on top is that they're not going to do something immediate. They're going to draw this out to September 1st, which of course is going to upset players even more because players were expecting something a lot sooner. So the fact that they're trying to give themselves a little bit more breathing room, I can understand that because of course a lot of this stuff does have to go through different processes. But yeah, I just think this is not good enough as a response, to be honest with you. I do appreciate that they responded. Don't get me wrong, I do like the fact that they directly acknowledged the player concerns, like the fact that they pointed out that people were mostly concerned about the Pokéstop and gym interaction distance, but again, this is not good enough, and this does feel really empty and really hollow. There is a lot of language in here that I appreciate, but there's also a lot that keeps me concerned, and it still demotivates me from playing this game. Literally, the last couple of days, ever since these changes were rolled into Pokemon Go, the gameplay has been miserable. Like, nothing has really changed. I'm still going through my same routes and same places, and I'm just not able to grind as much as I could because I'm only able to reach like 30% of the gyms and Pokestops that I usually was able to for the past year, and it just feels terrible. Like, you know what's really funny is that with the increased Pokestop distance, I was actually exploring a lot more. Like, I was masking up and checking out different trails because I noticed that there were Pokestops that I could actually reach on these trails. But nowadays, I just feel less inclined to explore, so it seems like if they're going to cling to this mission statement, then they really need to consider that what they're deciding to do is actually going to hinder that more than it's going to help it. And a lot of that was already covered in the letter. Of course, there's a lot of other things like accessibility and safety, and I do agree with all of that. I just really hope Niantic takes a really hard look at their core philosophies and then they make the adjustments necessary, because I'm really sick and tired of this cycle that we as players keep going into with Niantic. Like, it really seems like we constantly have to voice our concerns with this game, and then Niantic will always respond with something, and it's always not good enough. Or sometimes they just don't do anything at all. And yes, that is definitely a possibility when we get to September 1st. Like, this team may not come up with anything. That is a hard reality that we possibly have to accept. And to be perfectly honest with all of you, I think Niantic needs to ditch this language of having a mission of exploration. Like, no one is buying that. And for Niantic to come out with that in their response is very hypocritical because, okay, think about this. So with remote raids, they did nothing against remote raids. Like, remote raiding is completely untouched, but I would argue and say that remote raids does a lot more damage to their mission than increasing Pokestop and gym interaction distances. Like, they need to understand that no one is buying what they're selling. Like, this is all total BS, and they just need to ditch this language and just be real with us. They need to be transparent. I mean, it's obvious to anyone that this is about money. The fact that Pokestop interaction distances were reverted back after they gained a whole bunch of sponsors like Verizon, like, any average player who is not engrossed in social media and Reddit can still figure it out. I mean, I've talked to a lot of people on the ground, and they clearly know that this is about money, which is funny because they made so much money off of remote raids alone. Like, you would think that they would focus more on improving remote raids and leaving the rest of the game untouched. It's mind-blowing to me that this is the direction they decide to go to, and they use this BS mission statement as a means of justifying their behavior. Like, they're just basically gaslighting us at this point. But in any case, yeah, they did respond, and I did share my thoughts on it. I'm still very concerned about Pokemon Go. I'm still very concerned about Niantic's attitude towards the Pokemon Go community. But again, they at least responded, they at least acknowledged our concerns, and we do have to chalk that up as a small win. We do have to accept that this is still a positive step in the right direction. It's just all up to Niantic at this point to make good on the community, because honestly, as a member of the Pokemon Go community, I kind of feel like I've been screwed over so many times that Niantic has a lot of ground to make up. But yeah, That's just my thoughts and opinions on all of this. I would love to know yours, so definitely share them down below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget that like button, subscribe if it's your first time here. I'm Count Jinsula, be safe, have fun, and I'll catch you all later.